that's a pretty big if.
But grant me, if, would you believe it?
There's no proof that I would be able to accept that would be able to.
So your mind is,
About as close as yours is.
well, is it?
Yeah.
Have you asked me if atheism were true, would I be an atheist? Yeah, I would be. Why would I believe something that wasn't true? I'm sorry, go ahead. Go on with your
Anyways,
question.
my question was actually pretty simple. It's just that I generally try and be a good person, but I don't believe in a Christian God. Do you think I'm going to hell?
What do you mean by being a good person?
Try to treat other people decently and
What do you mean by decent?
according to the standards of our society, in a way that, hopefully they'll react well to me and they'll treat me well.
Okay. But, societies sometimes have standards that aren't good, like we've been mentioning.
That's true.
Society. Okay. So, is the purpose of life to be good?
I have no idea what the purpose of life is.
Well then, how can I answer the question?
Well, my question is, do you think I'm going to hell? It's not what I have to.
Well, I don't think God is going to force anybody into heaven against their will.
What if I wanted to go to heaven?
Well, then you'd pursue God. It doesn't appear like you're interested in doing that.
Well, there's no way to I don't believe there's a way that we can prove God in this life. Whatever, if there's another,
Well, let me ask you a question, Hannah. If I were to give you a book, would you read it?
possibly.
It's yes or no?
It depends. I've got a lot of books.
Well, you don't have to read it now, but would you read it over the summer?
Maybe.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, if God exists, you seem to be kind of apathetic about it.
Yeah.
Well, why would God force you into His presence for all eternity?
Well, that's not my question. My question is about hell.
That is the difference between heaven and hell. Heaven is with God. Hell is separation from God.
I mean, if that's your definition of hell.
Well, that's basically what hell is. I mean, there's a lot of descriptors in the Bible about it. But at the end of the day, hell is separation from God.
I mean, do you think I'm going to burn for all eternity?
Well, it depends on what you mean by burn, because there's a lot of different metaphors in the Bible. Some, on one hand, you've got burning. On the other hand, you've got outer darkness. So you can't have burning and outer darkness together. They're metaphors meant to communicate destruction, meant to communicate being apart from God.
Was Jesus' resurrection a metaphor?
No, I don't think so, because otherwise then a lot of people died for a metaphor.
So how do you distinguish between a metaphor and what's not a metaphor in the Bible?
Oh, the same way we do in normal language. Like when we say, this computer cost me an arm and a leg. You know what that means, right?
Unless somebody took an arm and a leg from you.
Yeah, if I was an amputee, but we don't. We generally understand most times when metaphors are used and when something is literal. So, I don't think hell would be a nice place to go to, but even Christopher Hitchens says hell, or let me back up. Christopher Hitchens says heaven would be hell to him. He doesn't want God now, so he's not going to want God in eternity.
Well, I'm not Christopher Hitchens.
I know. But I'm just simply saying that if God exists and if Christianity is true, would you become a Christian? And you kind of said no.
Well, it depends if it's in this life or it's in theoretically another life, because I don't believe that you can prove anything about whether Christianity or whether there's life after death in this lifetime. So there's no, I mean...
Why do you say that? Why do you, and what do you mean by proof?
Beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay, good. I think that's true, beyond a reasonable doubt. And why couldn't we prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Jesus rose from the dead?
Because nobody... all the testimonies about it were written hundreds of years later. There's a lot of, eyewitness testimony from a long time ago that doesn't hold much weight in,
It doesn't matter how far back the testimony was. If it's eyewitness testimony and you can reconstruct the original, it could have happened yesterday.
Well, what about Herodotus?
What does that have to do with Jesus?
Does everything that he wrote histories, back even before...
Hang on 1 second. You seem to be saying that you can't prove Jesus rose from the dead.
Right.
At the same time, you're saying you can prove he didn't.
I don't think she's saying
No.
Well, yeah,
it seems highly unlikely,
because
given that nobody else in the history of human existence has ever risen from the dead. It seems very unlikely that one person in one specific situation would have, given that the only thing we have to prove it is eyewitness testimony from 100 years later. Or 200 years later.
And that is exactly why the resurrection is such an amazing miracle. Because if resurrections happened all the time, we wouldn't look at Christ's resurrection as being anything unusual.
What about all the other miracles that were, maybe some of them are true, maybe some of them aren't,
That's right. You have to evaluate them on a case-by-case basis. And let me just say, you're factually in error about when the documents were written down.
Okay, when were they written down?
Well, as you'll see tomorrow night, they were...
I'm not going to see them tomorrow night.
Okay, well, I can't go through the whole presentation of tomorrow night tonight. I'm sorry.
Can you briefly summarize?
Yeah, I'll say that most, if not all, the documents were written down prior to 70 AD. And
Okay.
much of the data that was written down goes all the way back to the event itself, especially the creed in 1 Corinthians 15, verses 3 to 8, which even liberal scholars agree is pre-40 AD. So this is very early testimony. Even Bart Ehrman, the great skeptic, says Jesus certainly existed, certainly was crucified, certainly his disciples believed he rose from the dead. The only thing Bart Ehrman can't bring himself to believe is that he actually did rise from the dead, because he says an historian can't know that. Why? Because philosophically he's ruled miracles out of existence, not because the data isn't there.
Right, but how do you distinguish that from other miracles that have, people say that, they've proved beyond a certainty that they interviewed all sorts of people and they definitely said that this miracle happened on such and such a date. All the different, martyrs in Catholicism. I mean, do you
have to look at you have to look at each alleged miracle claim on a case-by-case basis and make a judgment as to whether or not the eyewitness and other testimony is good enough to meet the standard you brought up, which is the right standard beyond a reasonable doubt.
So what other miracles happened in humanity?
Well, I think the miracles surrounding Jesus certainly happened.
What other
Because, well, the greatest miracle of all has already occurred.
Right, so are there any others?
The greatest miracle of all is already, I don't know, you have to figure
Right,
out...
so, have you applied the case-by-case basis to other miracles? And what have you come up with?
Well, you have to give me a miracle. I just can't comment on every single miracle. And that's kind of beyond the scope of what we're doing here today. Okay? So, you have to look at each one on a case-by-case basis. If the greatest miracle of all has already occurred, and I haven't even told you what that is, what is the greatest miracle in the Bible? No, the resurrection is easy. The greatest miracle in the Bible is the first verse. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. We've just given evidence that the first verse is true. If that verse is true, are the other verses in the book at least possible?
Sure.
Okay. So you can't philosophically rule miracles out as David Hume does, as Bart Ehrman does, as James Tabor from UNC.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't, because the greatest miracles already occurred.
I mean, it's
If God exists, miracles are
depending on
possible.
your definition of a miracle.
Well, it does. It does depend. I'm talking about an intervention of God into the space-time continuum.
Okay.
Let's you and me talk some more. I'll give you a book if you read it. If you won't read it, then I won't give you one.
All right, I'll read it.
Okay, good.
Oh, but quick question. So do you think that I'm going to hell?
I think I'm going to hell if I don't bow my knee to a creator, because I'm a sinner.
Right.
And if you don't bow your knee to a creator to get the free gift of eternal salvation, God will not force you into his presence against your will. He loves you too much for that.
So I think that's a yes.
He'll save you when you